Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today, I'm so excited to continue sharing the next chapter of this emotional, turbulent, yet profoundly beautiful love story between CEO James and Diep. In the previous episode, I'm sure many of you still remember that heart-wrenching moment, when James and Diep almost reunited, only to miss each other by mere seconds. One delayed step, one glance in the wrong direction, and what seemed like a destined reunion slipped away. And yet, fate hadn't abandoned them. After countless efforts, trials, and tears, they finally found each other, in a moment so breathtaking, so emotional, it left us speechless. And just as many had hoped, they came back to each other, and the ending was a blissful, sweet, and fulfilling one. But what exactly happened? How did they overcome the pain, the misunderstandings, and the distance? Who made the first move? Who broke down in tears upon seeing the one they once thought was lost forever? Today's episode will walk us through every precious detail, from those final steps, those eyes meeting again through the rain, to the very first words spoken after so many days apart. But that's not all. New challenges, new opportunities, and life-changing decisions still lie ahead. They once missed each other, but found their way back. Because when love is deep enough, destiny will always find a way to bring two souls together again. So join me in today's video, because I truly believe what you're about to see will touch the hearts of many. Don't miss it, there are some incredibly moving and unforgettable moments waiting just ahead. Diep knew the road home was no longer far. Just a few more low hills to cross, a small village ahead to pass through, and she would be back at the place she once called home. A place filled with childhood memories, and peaceful days spent with her loved ones. But her legs were exhausted. Every step seemed to carry the weight of days spent cold, hungry, and soaked from the rain, nights sleeping under the forest canopy with nothing but hope to keep her warm. She tightened the straps of her backpack and took a deep breath. Thankfully, the sky was beginning to clear. The rain had finally eased, making way for soft sunlight breaking through the thin clouds, casting golden rays along the red dirt road. Under that light, something in her heart felt warm again, perhaps heaven hadn't turned its back on her just yet. Still, she knew one thing for sure. At this pace, it would take several more days to reach her destination. And after all she had endured, she wasn't sure if her body could hold out much longer. She began looking around, hoping to find a small job, anything, really, lifting, cleaning, even a half-day of hired work, just enough to earn some money for a bus ticket, something to shorten the journey home. As she walked, she started asking the locals for help. Near a cornfield in the midst of harvest season, she saw an elderly farmer working alone under the scorching midday sun, pulling up corn stalks one by one. Without hesitation, Diep stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Excuse me, sir, do you need help with the harvest? I'm a hard worker, I promise. If you let me work, I'd be really grateful." The old man looked up at the thin girl standing before him, sun-darkened face, weary yet determined eyes. Without asking much, he simply nodded. "I sure do. Been working alone all morning, I could use the help. You work with me for half the day, and I'll pay you fairly." Diep's eyes welled with tears. She quickly thanked him and rolled up her sleeves. That afternoon, beneath the sweltering summer sun, Diep worked alongside the old farmer, harvesting row after row of corn. Her back soaked with sweat, her hands blistered from the constant cutting, but her heart was strangely light. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she mattered again. No longer someone merely seeking help, but someone actively fighting her way forward, step by step, to save herself. As the sun dipped behind the mountain ridge, the farmer pressed some money into her hands, not much, but every bit earned through honest labor. Diep bowed deeply, holding back tears as she whispered her thanks. "Thank you so much, truly. This money means a lot to me." The old man simply smiled kindly. "Travel safe, my dear. And if you ever meet someone kind, hold on tight. Don't let them slip away again." Those words made Diep pause. She clutched the money tightly in her hands, feeling a small flame reignite in her heart. She knew now, there was no time to waste. James was waiting. He was still out there searching for her. And this time, she would not let fate tear them apart again. With a small amount of money in hand, Diep knew she couldn't afford to delay any longer. She had to get home, to the place her heart had always longed for, to where James was still waiting, hoping for a sign of her. It wasn't much, but she hoped it would be enough to shorten the journey ahead. As she walked along a quiet village road, she spotted a man standing beside an old motorbike up ahead. Without hesitation, she approached and asked, "Excuse me, sir, could you take me to X town? I really need to get there urgently." The man looked her up and down, sizing her up. After a moment of silence, he quoted a price. "It's 500,000 VND from here to there. It's a long way." Her heart sank. The half-day of hard labor had earned her just over 100,000, not even a quarter of what he asked. Still, she summoned her courage and spoke honestly. "I only have a bit over 100,000, but I truly need to get there. Please, sir. I have no one else to turn to." Perhaps it was the exhaustion and quiet desperation in her eyes that moved him. The man gave a faint smile. "All right then. Think of it as me helping you out. Hop on." Hearing those words felt like being pulled from the edge of a cliff. Diep bowed repeatedly in gratitude, eyes shimmering with emotion. She climbed onto the back of the motorbike, sitting silently as the wind tangled her messy hair, her heart counting every minute that brought her closer to James. She thought, maybe this time, everything would finally be okay. But then, they had only gone a short distance, just past the paved road and onto a barren, bumpy trail full of gravel and dust, when the man suddenly stopped the bike. His voice, now cold and distant, was nothing like before. "Your money only gets you this far. Get off." Diep froze. "But, you said you'd take me all the way. You agreed." He didn't bother to reply. Just held out his hand, tone sharp. "If you want to go farther, give me the rest of your money. If not, walk." She stood there in stunned silence, the dirt road swirling with dust around her. The warmth and hope from earlier hadn't even had time to fade before being swept away by cold cruelty. Clenching her fists, she whispered bitterly, "Not everyone is kind, Diep, not everyone is like the farmer from yesterday." The man started the engine and rode off, leaving her alone beneath the fading afternoon sun. Around her was nothing but wind, trees, and desolate red earth. And the road home was still only halfway. But this time, she didn't cry. She simply looked up at the sky, drew a deep breath, and began walking again, on her own 2 feet. Though the road was still long, though her heart still ached, she knew deep down, as long as I can still stand, James, I'm still coming back to you. She told herself, I have to keep going. Even if I'm exhausted, even if disappointment comes again and again, I have to keep walking. I have to see you again. Each of Diep's steps grew heavier, but never once did she falter. The road was quiet, only the whispering wind and her labored breathing filled the air. And just as she thought she couldn't take another step, a voice rang out from behind, familiar, unforgettable, even in dreams. Diep. That call, gentle, yet urgent, froze her in place. Her heart pounded wildly. She stood still, trembling, eyes wide, because that voice, it was James. Slowly, she turned around. And there he was, those eyes, that face, that breath, the man she had longed for night after night, now standing right in front of her. 1 second of silence, enough for them both to realize this wasn't a dream. Without thinking, Diep ran to him. No hesitation. No fear. She threw her arms around him, holding him tightly, as if letting go would shatter everything into illusion. She buried her face in his chest and cried like she'd never cried before. Each sob was a wound laid bare, a memory relived, a night survived in cold and solitude, now pouring out in the safety of love's embrace. James held her just as tightly, strong, trembling, and overflowing with longing. He couldn't speak. Only silent tears fell into her hair, blending with her own, as if the universe itself were shedding tears for the pain they'd endured, and the miracle of this moment. "I'm sorry. I was late, but I found you, Diep," he whispered hoarsely. Not far behind, Officer Lee and Officer Duck, the two who had stood by James throughout the journey, watched quietly, hearts full. Lee discreetly wiped a tear from his cheek. Duck smiled gently, his gaze soft. At last, they found each other. No one said a word more. They simply stood still, witnesses to a love that had overcome distance, pain, and fate. After a while, the officers quietly stepped back, giving them space. James looked at Diep, now thin, pale, her legs scraped, her clothes dusty and torn, and his heart clenched. Without another word, he took off his jacket and gently wrapped it around her. Then, in the softest voice, "Come on, let's go home. You need rest, a proper meal, and the love you've always deserved." Diep smiled through her tears. She nodded, her eyes never leaving his, as if afraid he'd vanish if she blinked. The motorcycle rolled away into the late afternoon light, carrying them out of a place filled with storms and sorrow. And ahead of them was home. Warm lights. And a promise that from now on, they would never be apart again. After a long and grueling journey, Diep finally stepped foot back into the familiar house, the place that held so many memories, so much joy, sorrow, and countless moments when her heart ached thinking of James. She stood before the old iron gate, its paint faded with time. Her heart pounded, a wave of nervousness and emotion surging inside her. Without hesitation, she reached out, pushed the gate open, and walked in. Everything inside looked just the same, the wooden chair by the window, the flower pot James's mother used to tend with care. As she stepped toward the living room doorway, she froze. There she was, James's mother. The kind, gentle woman Diep had always loved like a second mother. She was sitting there, seemingly lost in thought, but when her eyes landed on Diep, they widened in shock, and then shimmered with tears. "Diep, my sweet girl, you're home. Oh God, you're really home." Without another word, she rushed forward and pulled Diep into her arms, hugging her tightly as if afraid she might vanish again. That embrace, trembling yet warm, was the embrace of a mother who had finally found the child she'd waited for far too long. Diep stood motionless in her arms, tears streaming down her cheeks. All the emotions she had held in for so long came pouring out in sobs. She choked out, "I'm sorry. I came back late. I missed you so much." James stood nearby, watching the scene unfold. His heart swelled with emotion as he saw the two women he loved most, his mother and Diep, clinging to each other. Gratitude and joy filled every corner of his being. James's mother gently stroked Diep's hair, her eyes soft and full of love, just as Diep remembered. "I'm sorry for all the pain you've endured. But from now on, I won't let you suffer alone anymore. Whatever happens, I'll be right here, protecting you, just like my own daughter." Hearing that, Diep broke down again. She had once believed she had lost everything, James, her trust, even a place to return to. But now, held in that familiar embrace, hearing that tender voice again, she knew she had never truly been alone. James's mother wiped away her tears and smiled warmly. "Come now, my silly girl, your eyes are all red from crying. Go wash up, put on something clean, and come eat. I've made a proper meal today, including your favorite caramelized pork and eggs." She supported Diep gently, helping her walk slowly toward the bathroom. In Diep's heart, a strange and beautiful peace rose up, like a child, finally guided home by a mother's hand after being lost for too long. The bathroom was warm, a light steam rising as hot water flowed. James's mother had already laid out a fresh towel, clean clothes, even the body lotion and shampoo Diep used to love. "Everything's here. Take your time. When you're done, come down for dinner. I made sure to include your favorite." Diep smiled through her tears. It had been so long since someone had cared for her like this, even in the smallest, most ordinary ways. She gently closed the bathroom door, placed her hand over her heart, and listened to its quiet, steady rhythm. For the first time in so long, her heart was beating, in peace. That evening, the James family's home was livelier than ever. The lights glowed brightly from the front yard to the living room, and the delicious aroma of home-cooked dishes filled the air, wrapping the house in warmth and familiarity. James's mother had personally prepared a grand dinner, not only to welcome Diep back after her long disappearance, but also to express heartfelt gratitude to Officer Lee and his team, who had tirelessly joined the search for her. The table was beautifully set with the finest dishes: braised pork and eggs, fresh spring rolls, salt-steamed chicken, sour fish soup, mung bean sweet soup, all cooked lovingly by James's mother, with the care of a grateful mother who had just reunited with her daughter. Around 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. James quickly opened the door, and just as expected, Officer Lee and Officer Diep walked in, faces beaming, helmets still in hand. Diep stood up from inside the room, pausing slightly when her eyes met Officer Lee's, a man she had once feared and misunderstood, because of a past suspicion. But now, there was no more distrust between them, only relief, trust, and deep gratitude. She stepped forward, bowed her head deeply and said softly, I'm sorry for misunderstanding you before. I thought you were working with John, so I didn't dare share my real name. But now I understand. Thank you, truly, thank you for not giving up on me." Officer Lee chuckled, a light, forgiving laugh. "No hard feelings. What matters is that you're safe, and you're home. I was just doing my job, and today's outcome is what the whole team hoped for." Officer Diep clapped Diep gently on the shoulder with a grin. "Next time you disappear, at least leave us a GPS location, okay? We were searching till we almost passed out." That line made the whole room burst into laughter. The atmosphere immediately grew warm, relaxed, and filled with genuine affection. Misunderstandings faded, tears turned into smiles, and in their place, joy, reunion, and heartfelt appreciation blossomed. Everyone gathered around the table, the clinking of bowls and chopsticks, the sounds of stories and laughter filling the space. James occasionally placed extra food into Diep's bowl, while his mother couldn't stop ladling soup for Officer Lee, as if he were already family. Diep sat in the middle of them all, her eyes glistening, and for a fleeting moment, a strange yet beautiful feeling rose within her. Peace. A peace she hadn't known for so long, after all the storms, heartbreak, and exhaustion. The dinner ended with warmth and laughter. As the guests prepared to leave, James's mother walked them all the way to the gate, repeating her thanks once more. Officer Lee turned back, shook James's hand, and said, "Wishing you both happiness. What happened today marks the end of one journey, and the beginning of a brand new chapter. Diep and James looked at each other. No words were needed. Just a gentle squeeze of hands, a quiet nod, and they both knew they would never be apart again. That night, after the guests had left and the laughter had faded, the house returned to its familiar, gentle quiet. The warm golden lights glowed softly throughout the rooms, as if they, too, were celebrating a happiness finally found. James gently led Diep upstairs, to the room she once stayed in, still holding the soft blanket he used to leave for her, and the little wooden desk where she once scribbled quiet thoughts in her journal. The room remained the same. Only the hearts within it had changed, deeper, stronger, and filled with newfound gratitude. Diep sat on the bed, her eyes scanning the room before settling on James. Her voice, soft as a breeze yet brimming with longing, broke the silence. "Do you know, there were nights I imagined what I would say if I ever made it back, if I ever sat beside you like this again?" James gently squeezed her hand. "You can say anything. As long as you're here, that's all that matters." And with those words, Diep could no longer hold back. Tears spilled, tears that had been buried deep within her heart. She told him everything, about the nights she slept beneath trees in the forest, the moments she nearly fainted from hunger, the storms that drenched her through and through, and the kind farmer who helped her earn a bit of money to continue on her way. James listened without blinking, never letting go of her hand. At times, he squeezed it tighter, at others, he stood abruptly and wrapped his arms around her, as if to shield her from ever being hurt again. "Diep, you're so strong, but from now on, you don't have to do it alone. Whatever comes, let me walk with you." They held each other, not only to make up for the time they'd lost, but as a promise, they would never lose each other again. In that warm embrace, kisses were shared, gentle, passionate, and tender. No grand words were needed. No vows. Just being together was enough. Suddenly, the door creaked open. James's mother stepped inside, her kind smile and tender eyes filled with peace. She looked at the young couple, still wrapped in each other's arms, and felt the weight of countless sleepless nights finally lift. She walked over and sat beside Diep, pulling her into a motherly embrace. "It's all behind us now, my dear. What lies ahead is a bright future. I truly believe you two will be happy, because you were brave enough to fight for each other." Diep rested her head on her shoulder, her tears not yet dry, but a soft smile now on her lips. James reached out and wrapped his arms around both women, his heart full. In that moment, he knew this was family. And he would spend his life protecting it. His mother stood up, gently brushing Diep's hair behind her ear. "Now, you two should rest. Let tonight's sleep bring peace, and mark the beginning of the joyful days to come." As she quietly stepped out, James and Diep lay down beside each other. Hand in hand, eye to eye, they said nothing more. But they didn't have to. Because real love needs no words. It only needs presence. It only needs to stay. That night, for the first time in what felt like forever, Diep slept deeply. A sleep without fear, without loneliness. Just warmth. And peace. In the arms of the one she loved. That night, after months of hardship, wandering, and enduring both physical and emotional pain, Diep finally fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. A sleep wrapped in the arms of the man she loved. Under a roof bathed in warm golden light. With the gentle breath of loved ones nearby. She slept without nightmares. No more waking in the middle of the night to the rustling forest wind. No more fear lurking in the shadows. Only the steady beat of her heart. The warmth of James beside her. And the quiet protection of James's mother, soft and motherly. Like a lullaby that cradled her into a tender dream. Perhaps, It had been far too long since Diep last felt something called true peace. A night without inner storms. Without doubt, without panic. Without the urge to run. Just love, faith, and a quiet happiness beginning to bloom again. But will the days ahead bring them the lasting happiness they've always dreamed of? Love has brought them back to each other. But the journey ahead is only just beginning. Stay tuned for the next episode tomorrow, as we follow Diep and James into their new life. A life filled with new challenges, big decisions, and dreams waiting just beyond the horizon. That evening, the James family's home was livelier than ever. The lights glowed brightly from the front yard to the living room, and the delicious aroma of home-cooked dishes filled the air, wrapping the house in warmth and familiarity. James's mother had personally prepared a grand dinner, not only to welcome Diep back after her long disappearance, but also to express heartfelt gratitude to Officer Lee and his team, who had tirelessly joined the search for her. The table was beautifully set with the finest dishes: braised pork and eggs, fresh spring rolls, salt-steamed chicken, sour fish soup, mung bean sweet soup, all cooked lovingly by James's mother, with the care of a grateful mother who had just reunited with her daughter. Around 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. James quickly opened the door, and just as expected, Officer Lee and Officer Diep walked in, faces beaming, helmets still in hand. Diep stood up from inside the room, pausing slightly when her eyes met Officer Lee's, a man she had once feared and misunderstood, because of a past suspicion. But now, there was no more distrust between them, only relief, trust, and deep gratitude. She stepped forward, bowed her head deeply and said softly, I'm sorry for misunderstanding you before. I thought you were working with John, so I didn't dare share my real name. But now I understand. Thank you, truly, thank you for not giving up on me. Officer Lee chuckled, a light, forgiving laugh. No hard feelings. What matters is that you're safe, and you're home. I was just doing my job, and today's outcome is what the whole team hoped for. Officer Diep clapped Diep gently on the shoulder with a grin. Next time you disappear, at least leave us a GPS location, okay? We were searching till we almost passed out. That line made the whole room burst into laughter. The atmosphere immediately grew warm, relaxed, and filled with genuine affection. Misunderstandings faded, tears turned into smiles, and in their place, joy, reunion, and heartfelt appreciation blossomed. Everyone gathered around the table, the clinking of bowls and chopsticks, the sounds of stories and laughter filling the space. James occasionally placed extra food into Diep's bowl, while his mother couldn't stop ladling soup for Officer Lee, as if he were already family. Diep sat in the middle of them all, her eyes glistening, and for a fleeting moment, a strange yet beautiful feeling rose within her. Peace. A peace she hadn't known for so long, after all the storms, heartbreak, and exhaustion. The dinner ended with warmth and laughter. As the guests prepared to leave, James's mother walked them all the way to the gate, repeating her thanks once more. Officer Lee turned back, shook James's hand, and said, "Wishing you both happiness. What happened today marks the end of one journey, and the beginning of a brand new chapter." Diep and James looked at each other. No words were needed. Just a gentle squeeze of hands, a quiet nod, and they both knew they would never be apart again.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người ơi, hiện tại thì hôm nay mình lên một video có thể là nó không được gọi là nội dung quá mới, tại vì có thể nó hơi chậm vì do thời gian vừa rồi mình bận một số công chuyện, nhưng mà mình muốn lên một nội dung cho nó đầy đủ trình tự. Với lại là đối với những người mà chưa từng theo dõi kênh của Diep thì khi mà xem thì cũng có thể xem được xem được đầy đủ tình tiết, nên là mình không có ngắt quãng hay bỏ lỡ mà mình vẫn cố gắng làm đầy đủ thứ tự. Mình hy vọng rằng tuy nội dung của mình nên hơi sau một tí nhưng mà vẫn mong nhận được sự ủng hộ nhiều hơn của mọi người và sự yêu quý nhiều hơn của mọi người. Và hy vọng rằng trong thời gian tới mọi người sẽ ủng hộ và yêu thương kênh mình nhiều hơn nữa, để cho những cố gắng của mình có thể được đền đáp. Và đó cũng là một động lực rất lớn để mình có thể dành thời gian nhiều hơn để ra những video hay và ý nghĩa hơn dành đến mọi người. Và mọi người nhớ là hãy đăng ký kênh, sau đó bật chuông thông báo lên để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé.